What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Game week 36, the big double game week of the season is here. I am on bench boost. A lot of you will be playing your bench boost as well, or your free hit. A lot of chips will be active. It's the best game week left to be activating those attacking chips like your free hit, like your triple captain, like your bench boost. We're going to get into my team selection for that game week 36. But just before we do, let's have a quick look at how I did in game week 35. So you can see my team up on screen now. 64 points overall. Very happy with that. It did give me a green arrow from 5.5k up inside the top 4k. This is now level with my best ever finish, which was last season. So hoping with 2 chips still to play in bench boost this week and free hit next week that I'm able to get my best ever finish in FPL. In terms of how my team performed, I started Foster in goal with a 2. Almost a clean sheet and almost a lot of bonus points as well, but he did lose that late on against Burnley. In defence, Robertson with a 6, then James and Alonso with a 2 after losing 1-0 to Everton. We'll talk about Chelsea assets in a minute and what I think we should be doing with those. And Cancelo came in with a 5. So good returns from defence. Trent was on my starting 11, but he was then benched and didn't come on for Liverpool. I'm sure a lot of you had him, and I did get Dennis off my bench. So Dennis scored 2, Pukki 2, Salah 1, Havertz 1, Saka with a small 4, and then it was Captain Son that did the business for me. 38 points from Son. On wildcard, I made the switch. I was very nervous about making the switch from Harry Kane into Son, and it really has paid off straight away. The captaincy armband, I was nervous about the minutes that Salah was going to get going into this game week, so I did put the captaincy armband on Son. Again, 38 points. Absolutely buzzing with that. As I said, 64 points overall. It did give me a green arrow, and I rolled my transfer as well, meaning that I have 2 free transfers going into game week 36, and I can really target some of those players that I think will maximize the points that I can get on my bench boost. So moving on now to some potential transfers for game week 36. In order to be able to do that, we need to have a look at the fixtures very briefly and potentially the teams that we are looking to target. So Arsenal, Aston Villa, Chelsea, Everton, Leeds, Leicester, Liverpool, Manchester City, Norwich, Tottenham, Watford and Wolves all have a double game week in game week 36. However, there are teams here that will be wanting to target more than others. Manchester City, definitely one who are hot property. Everton as well. Leicester have a really nice double, but until we know what happens in their Europa League tie tomorrow night, I'm recording after we've had team news before the start of the Manchester City Real Madrid game. So if there is injury news, then this may change my thinking, but we know that Mahrez starts, we know that Foden starts, and we know that Gabriel Jesus starts. So those are some of the few teams that I think will be looking to target. It is Everton, Manchester City, Arsenal and Villa, along with Chelsea, who we all already own. In terms of players that I could potentially use and sell in my team, the potential transfers out for me are João Pedro, Kai Havertz, Reece James and Ben Foster. So I have a full team already of double game week players, so I don't have to sell single game week players in my starting 11 or even on my bench. João Pedro I've not been fussed with, and triple Watford on my bench boost is just not really it. I'm not happy with it at all, even with a good double game week that they do have. That goes with Ben Foster. Again, I don't expect very much from either of these, so with 2 free transfers, 0.5 million in the bank and bench boost active, as you can see below me, I may be inclined to move one of these on to an asset that I like a bit more. Now, Foster is very difficult with the money that I've got in the bank. I don't really see another goalkeeper that I want to move to. I can't quite afford to go all the way up to Pickford, who would probably the one that I would want to go to, as I already own Schmeichel. João Pedro could easily become Nketiah, or if I made big downgrades elsewhere, could become Gabriel Jesus. However, with him starting in the Champions League tonight, I think it's unlikely that he starts both in the double game week 36 against Newcastle and Wolves. This means that Havertz and James are definitely 2 that I'm looking to transfer out. Havertz is a definite sell for me. Whether I go for Foden or Mahrez was going to be dependent on who started in the Champions League tonight. Mahrez, if he didn't start, was going to come in, and I think without that being the case, I think Foden is the one that I'm likely to go with. The amount of minutes that he's capable of playing means that even him starting in the Champions League tonight, I think he's a really nice option to own. It's a good double, and then I can play him at home to Aston Villa on the final day of the season. Now, Reece James is a really difficult one for me, and a lot of you will be looking at Chelsea assets to sell, particularly defensively. Now, I look at it and I don't think that there will be much point in keeping James, because I don't think he'll play against Leeds, and I think a quick move from James to Laporte makes a lot of sense. However, when I dive into that in a little bit more detail, I think, okay, if I'm free hitting in game week 37, that means I've got James at home to Wolves and at home to Watford on the final day, or I've got Laporte with Newcastle, Wolves and Aston Villa. And actually, when I break it down like that, I think it's a very close call between going for James or going and making that sideways move for Laporte. So at time of recording, I think that Havertz move for one of Foden or Mahrez is very likely. I do have a second free transfer, which I don't want to waste. Whether we look at a forward transfer or whether we look at a defensive transfer, I'm not quite deciding at the moment. So my team looks like this going into this game week. Schmeichel in goal, Trent, Robertson, James, Alonso, Cancelo, Salah, Son, Havertz, Saka and Pukki, with a bench of Foster, Dennis, Gordon and João Pedro. Bench boost is active as well. Strong double game week players on the bench. Well, I say strong. They've all got a double game week, although I'm not particularly happy with any of them apart from Gordon at Everton, because they look like they are fighting. Watford have not looked good recently, and having triple of them, I'm not that fussed with. But with 2 free transfers, 0.5 million in the bank, and because I'm free hitting next week, it means I have to use both of those transfers or I lose one. So as I said, I'm guaranteed to make one transfer in Kai Havertz out, and I'm pretty sure now that Jesus and Mahrez both start alongside Foden, that it'll be Foden that comes in for me in that midfield spot. Now, this does leave a second transfer, and I don't know what it's going to be yet. I was locked in that it was going to be James to Laporte, and that was going to be the way I'd go. However, as I've mentioned, as I break it down, James against Wolves versus Watford on the final day, and then you've got Laporte in his 3 fixtures. I do think it's very close. Laporte has sort of a max of 6 points in each game. Yes, he could get an assist, but it's unlikely. So that's 18 points. James in 2 fixtures could easily score 18 points with the 2 fixtures he has. So is it better to use that second free transfer elsewhere? Dennis out is not really something I'm going to go with, because there's not really only one I can go and buy. João Pedro to Nketiah is popular. However, do I know that he's going to start both games for Arsenal? Foster out, although there's no double game week players. So I'm really stuck between the move of James to Laporte and João Pedro out to Nketiah. If anything else looks obvious in my team to use my second free transfer on, I will have literally 0.4 million in the bank, so not very much maneuvering room with that. Let me know in the comment section what you think I should do with my team. But this is how I'm planning on lining up. Captaincy is on Mo Salah. He has had a big rest from Tuesday all the way through to Saturday, and then Saturday into the midweek. There was enough rest that I think he's very capable of playing both games and scoring good points. He'll also be the most highly captain player going into this game week as well. So this is my team. This is how I'm lining up at the moment, with probably 1 free transfer spare. Let me know your thoughts, but let me know your questions about your team in the comment section down below. Questions about the double, players to target, players to sell, all of these good questions, let me know. There will be a deadline stream before the deadline on Saturday afternoon as well. It's a slightly later deadline, so make sure to turn on notifications and subscribe to the channel so you get a reminder of when we do go live. Like the video if you have not already. Enjoy game week 36 if I don't see you, and I'll be back again very soon.